I'm wondering if there's a way we could be more conscious in seeing beauty if we have the soul of a photographer. Mad for life, making a difference for a lifetime. Join me, Jill Hicks, as I take us on a quest to learn, to grow, to understand more about ourselves and how we can be the healthiest version and be able to do all the things we want to do for a lifetime. I'll be talking to the scientists, the thinkers, the doctors, the doers, the practitioners, the people that are leading the way in the areas that can improve our health, from our mind health to our body, to our soul, to how we contribute to the world. I'm really excited. This is 20 years in the making for me. Mad for life, making a difference for a lifetime. This episode with photographer Ben Liew is a very visual episode. So if you are in listen-only mode, I thoroughly recommend that you go to your usual outlets on Spotify or YouTube to watch this episode. Ben, I'd like to welcome you to Mad for Life. It's a joy having you here. You are someone who I have great admiration for and have been both honoured and privileged to work with. When we're talking about soul health, which is the third pillar in Mad for Life, I thought we've got to talk to you because there's, I think, a lot that you can offer on our quest for how do we live with a sort of a greatness and a different balance and be able to collect some new habits for a greater lifetime. So Ben Liew, you are an multi-award winning photographer. And I want to read to you, because I don't know, have you read this recently? This is your philosophy on your website. And I love it because to me, it speaks volumes of exactly why I really wanted to talk to you on this podcast. Ben Liew, not just an accomplished commercial photographer, but you have a talented eye for the beautiful and the extraordinary. And that's what you look for when you want to capture an image. You hold a reputation for high quality photographs that are distinct, creative, and absolutely breathtaking. You live by the steadfast philosophy that nothing is as exhilarating as capturing that special image. There's always beauty in the mundane, and that lives can open up the minds of those who are viewing to new visual experiences. Success lies in capturing images that tell unique stories, whilst unlocking memories, sensations, and experiences. Wow. Having worked with you, I couldn't agree more. So welcome. Thank you for sharing your experience, your knowledge, and your wisdom.
Thanks for having me here. I'm honoured.
Ben, I'd like to start with, we met many years ago when you captured me talking about architecture and design. And I've looked at those images recently and thought that was capturing an essence of me, talking about a subject that I relate to from a life before bombings, a life that I call my life number one, a life that I felt passionate about and joyful about. And that's what I see when I look at the pictures that you took while I was talking about that. And it started me thinking about how important it is, the eye of the photographer, the eye of the artist, and what you look for when you're trying to capture that essence of somebody. Can you share that with us?
That was when we first met. It was at Brickworks, and it was for Parlour, and they usually have two people up on stage and they have a conversation, and I love that. The brief for that job that I've been doing photos with them for a number of years, and that is to just capture whatever's happening at the time. I don't have to pose anyone for social photos or anything. It's just I go in, I'm fly on the wall. I'm a pretty big fly. It's hard for me to hide because I'm quite tall and, but it's cool because I just get to sort of hone in and wait for moments to happen. And when I'm photographing an event like that, I'm often looking through my camera, the viewfinder. I usually have it down by the hip, so it's not too intrusive. The person I'm focusing on may not necessarily know that I'm taking their photo at the time, because it can. I know that my presence can sometimes make people a little bit nervous.
So you find being discreet?
Yeah, try to be discreet. Like, I think there's a psychology. If someone covers their face, I think that, like, we automatically go, ooh, what's going on there? Someone's hidden. So in our peripheral, I think we can sort of flag that and go, ooh, what's going on there? So I try not to hide my face. I try to maybe look down and look at the screen. And so anyway, with that, because you're talking, when people talk, there's a lot of faces that people make, a lot of like oohs and ahs and stuff. They may not necessarily be the best for photos, but in between sentences, there's often a smile, or there might be an expression or something like that. And I'm looking for those moments, those real genuine sort of looks. So yeah, so that's with an event. When I'm photographing a corporate headshot, often I look at what the profession is. Like, if it's a lawyer, if they're a family lawyer or something like that, then I know that they have to be really friendly and approachable, and it's almost soft and gentle. But someone who's in, say, like property law or commercial law or something, they might not need to have that soft, gentle,
so
approachable.
The backstory is important to you?
Sometimes, yeah, it is. Like, it's good for me to have an idea of who the person is. Although when I first met you, I didn't know. And so I just sort of go into the situation and I photograph and I hear you. So because you're in conversation and you're talking, I'll learn about you as I'm going. So with an event, usually I don't know who or what I'm doing. I sort of pick up on those cues. But with corporate headshots, if there's a whole bunch of lawyers, I always ask people what area of law they're in. And that can really narrate, I guess, how the final image might look, and I sort of try to go towards it. I still go through all the ranges of looks, because there's so much, there's all these nuances, like all these little tiny things, like take a breath in, your posture changes, your breath out, posture changes. And if you look at those two photos side by side, they're completely different. So there's all these little things. I get people to do all these things, like, I'll look over there, turn your body, twist your body, do this. I might say a stupid funny joke, or not funny joke, or whatever. Either way, I get a laugh.
Because there is a sort of known stance, isn't there, where you're meant to put one leg in front of the other, or
something like that.
Contort your body somehow to have the perfect look for every
like
picture.
Chin forwards and down, might twist your body.
Always
and all that
keep
sort
the
of
camera
stuff.
up high.
I always try to keep the camera coming a little bit like around about eye level, but then you bring the chin forwards and down, and then that, double chins to disappear. Sometimes photography lighting is completely unforgiving.
Right.
And they can create a double chin where there isn't one. And so I try and do that because I like genuine photos. I don't really I'm very good at Photoshop, but I don't like to Photoshop images.
Because I guess I need to ask the question, as the world is emerging further and further into an artificial intelligence, how do you feel about that as a creative? Like, is artificial intelligence a friend or a foe?
I think it can be all of that and more. And I think in my line of work, it can help me, in Photoshop, for example. It can do something in a matter of like 20 seconds that would take me like an hour, right? It can remove something. Like I remember this.
Not that I've ever asked you to ever do that for me.
There was a portrait of you in your house and then Nala was there and she's coming up, but there was an air conditioning unit on the wall and it annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah.
But I put it in Photoshop to remove
beautiful.
that air conditioning unit.
Yeah.
And it was the first time I used it. I'm like, oh, I could have done that myself, but it would have taken me hours. It did it in 20 seconds and it gave me 3 options. And I've done that before with other images. You know, it's just like a time saver. I know programmers who are using AI and they're saving days and days to do their, you know, to help, I guess, build the structure of programs. And, you know, I sometimes use it for words to try and, you know, at least come up with a structure. I still like to type it myself from what I've seen.
But do you see an artificial intelligence being able to replicate what you can produce with your eye?
I when I see AI images of people like with corporate photos, I just get a little bit annoyed because it's not a real interpretation of who that person is. You know, if it's to remove an element in the photo that I could do in Photoshop, I would. And usually so it's
the tidying up that you see as a great tool.
Like dust specks and stuff like that, incidental stuff.
But not to replace the creative eye.
Yeah, because you can sometimes take a portrait of yourself and put it through AI and it'll put you in a pose and a background and everything and just change everything completely. And well, I think firstly, I don't think they're real photos because you can change your expression in AI and it's not really you. I think it has to be an actual photo, like recording of how the light's hitting your face and all that sort of stuff for it to be a real photo. And sometimes you can pick up on images when they're AI.
And do you mind sharing, and I don't know if this is common knowledge, Ben, but you take a selfie of your, I guess, your day, a moment in your day, every single day. Why?
It's a good question.
And how long have you been doing that for?
So I started in November 2012.
So a specific date?
So it was only supposed to be for a week, and it was this experiment. I had a haircut. And, you know, as the week progresses, your hair sort of grows out. It's not very fast, but I think maybe it was supposed to be for a month and your hair grows out. And then what I did was I started doing the self-portrait, but what I wanted to do was trim my beard a little bit every day. So my hair would grow out and then my beard would go in. So it's just silly, right? And then I did that and it didn't look like anything when I finished it. And I was in the habit after a month of taking a portrait every day. I set limitations on myself for my portraits. So I would use a fixed lens 35mm camera. It was a big DSLR at the time, but now I've switched to something little like this because it's easy for me to carry around. And my expression would...
And what have you got there?
So this is a Fuji X100F. So it's a fixed lens equivalent to a 35mm focal length.
And that's with you every day?
Yeah, every day.
Right.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I use...
So when you're leaving the house, do you sort of go, keys, phone, camera?
With my camera,
Right.
It's in my bag or something like that. Or if I'm on a shoot, then I try not to carry too much. So I might use my professional camera, which is a lot bigger and chunkier and clunkier. But then I just have to...
So this month's experiment of looking at your different growth and cycle of your hair and your beard, and then started to become something that you thought, actually, I'm going to make this my daily routine to capture my life, essentially.
Yeah.
And this has been years, Ben. So do you print them out? Do you have an album? And what do you start to, how has it started to determine, like, I guess what comes first, photograph or occasion? So do you start to think about your day in terms of, that is the moment for my selfie. That's the moment to capture.
It's the highlight of the day. So today we'll be talking to you. So I'm going to take my portrait with you a little bit later today. But I sort of look at my day and go, that's the highlight. I'm going to take a photo of me with that. It might be whatever, like yesterday I did the hedging at mum's house. And so I did a photo with a hedge, you know, and they're like some like cuttings on my head or whatever. And, you know, if I'm meeting someone amazing, like when Jane Goodall was here like last year or the year before, I was like, oh, well, I certainly have to try and get my self-portrait with her. And you were there when we met her, which was amazing. And so I'm not going to pass up that opportunity.
Yeah.
Often, like, I'll get my kids, or my kids will just photobomb me and stuff, and they feature a lot in like my portraits. In fact, I take a portrait of them every day as well since birth. So they have the same thing, looking at the camera every single day. And that's a massive commitment.
Yeah.
So I think after the first month for me, I was in the habit of it. And I'm so stubborn that I continued.
That's a good attribute to have. Yeah.
And I just continued doing it. And it got to like a year and I'm like, I guess I'm doing this for the rest of my life. And I just kept on going. My kids are 4 and 6 years old, and I've been doing this project for 14 years. Yeah. So way before they were born. And I was already in the habit of it. It's a visual diary for me. I can look at any one or most of those images and go, I know what I did that day.
Wow.
But if you ask me a specific date, I wouldn't remember.
So I'm a big believer in life is in the moments, and it's all of the moments that are strung together that create who we are. And that was, you know, poignantly shown to me in that thread between life and death in 2005 for me. And I was quite confronted really by, and I love how you've talked about finding beauty in the mundane, because for me, when I was facing the reality of death, it was all of these tiny little moments that were captured as a film that was relayed back to me. So it was, you know, the picture of me as a child running on hot sand in South Australia towards the ocean, and how that image evoked the feeling that I was there, you know, and then suddenly that image flickered to me, you know, eating pasta, and I could taste the richness of the sauce. You know, it was extraordinary. And yet you could look at that set of images and say, well, that's pretty mundane. You know, here you are as a kid at the beach, normal thing for an Australian. Here you are eating pasta. Here you are laughing, you know, and yet once they were all strung together, I had this overwhelming sense that is life, and that I needed to be more aware of how important it is to be present, to be living in the moments, to not forget the moments. And so I love that you're capturing the moments and that you're not letting them escape. You are present. And perhaps is that something that you feel is the gift of photography?
I think photography is both a blessing and a curse. I think a lot of people want to capture things so much that they experience those moments by looking through the phone.
Interesting.
And sometimes you can lose the moment.
So I'm thinking concerts.
Yeah.
For that example of, you know, a musician or artist saying, please put your phones away.
I love that. I went to
You do love that?
Yeah, I do love it. I love it. I went to, like, I'm a huge metal fan. I love Tool, and I used to be a big fan of Metallica, all that sort of stuff. And so Tool came last year or earlier this year. I can't remember. I'll lose track of time. And they're my favorite band. And they have a blanket rule, no phones, to record it, to the point that they have like security facing out into the crowd looking for people, and then they'll radio in. People will get kicked out for using their phones.
I would have thought that a heavy metal crowd or heavy metal presence would be far more lenient in saying, hey, you do you. So I've learned something today. As a jazz person, I've learned something that metal doesn't like to have.
Yeah, I think it's probably in a lot of
Yeah.
concerts now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think.
But that's interesting, isn't it? And so I love it that you feel that that's something you respect, because then you are in the moment.
Yes.
And then you painting that picture in your mind,
Yeah.
rather than have captured it in a camera or on your phone. But when we sort of move away from that, what is the essence that you look for when you're framing up a shot? Like what drives you as a photographer? What set you on this pathway? And have you always, so young Ben, were you always looking at life as a picture?
No, I wasn't. I liked cameras. I like, I've got photos of me when I was very young with, my mum's camera and everything like that. But I wasn't really into photography that much, probably until maybe my early 20s, and I got my first digital camera. It was just like a little point and click. And I started experimenting with long exposures and all that sort of stuff. But even at that point, I had no idea that photography was, I guess, a vocation, like something I could do for money, or for a living, that sort of thing. So I really fell into it. But yeah, I wasn't really into photography in that sort of sense when I was growing up. My mum and my dad took photos and videos of us growing up. And I'm looking at a lot of those videos now. I've converted a lot of our old VHS to digital because that's super important. But yeah, I guess getting into photography was completely accidental for me. I dropped out of school, which I'm quite proud of, because I think if I had not done that, I may have been pursuing something else. And even when I finished school, I was pursuing multimedia and web design and all that sort of stuff. And I really liked it, but there's still something missing. I was doing animation and stuff. And I had to go through all these different paths to get to where I am now. And photography just happened to be the thing that I fell into that I really liked. And I get a lot of satisfaction out of it. For me, it's the instant gratification. I think digital photography, as opposed to film photography, is great for me because I can see straight away if I've got a shot. What I'm looking for, I don't know, sometimes it just appears.
Really? So
yeah.
It lines, it's like a perfect storm. So it's like I am.
Yeah, a WOMAD the other day. I went to WOMAD, brought the kids, and as the sun's coming down, this beautiful shaft of light was coming through the trees, and there's just everything was dark behind it. And our eyes adjust automatically to what's seen because you see detail and everything, but the camera is really limited, right? So I exposed for the highlight. And then there were people walking through the scene, and if you take a photo and you're exposing the highlight, everything else is dark, and just the person's is lit and exposed. And I got my son to stand there, and he was looking off into the side, and yeah, it was just this sort of beautiful photo. So I think being present, you don't always need to have the camera ready to go, but I know my camera is second nature to me, and so if I see something, I'll be like, oh, cool, I can quickly take it out and take that photo. And yeah, I love being able to do that because I know the limitations of the camera, and there's a freedom in having a limitation. You can have all the lenses in the world and still not take a very good photo, but having a fixed focal length, there's this freedom in having that limitation, which I love that term.
Because I like this idea that you're talking about finding beauty in the mundane, because wherever we are, wherever we're listening or watching this episode and us talking today, our environment of beauty differs. And some of us are in difficult situations, some of us not. So finding beauty and capturing that in your mind or in an image, I think there's something really special in that. And I'm interested if there's a way that perhaps we can become more consciously living, that we see those images in our minds, or that we find, is that a space of perhaps gratefulness? Is that what that is? Because I take pictures of blue sky. I don't know why. I just
you love them.
put my phone up. It's just blue. It could be a Pantone color blue, but it's the sky. And I'm always I look at it on my phone and I think, I love that.
Yeah.
Because it was that moment for me of looking up and feeling so grateful that I'm somewhere in life where there is a blue sky over my head and I'm okay.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if there's a way we could be more conscious in seeing beauty if we have the soul of a photographer.
Yeah, I guess beauty in the mundane is a good one, but I guess what's mundane to me may not be mundane to someone else, and vice versa. I think if we look at our phone gallery, we'll see what's important to us. Like for me, there's a lot of photos of my kids, but then also I've got a terrible memory, so I might photograph something that I need to remember. So there's that. I guess we can also get lost a little bit in the expectation to take a good photo, but it's not about that. I think it's about what's important to us. I think if you are looking for perfection in every single thing you try to do, then you kind of lose what it is. There's beauty and there's beauty in imperfection, right? And I can take perfect images. Like I'm super technical. Like I've got to photograph a truck tire soon, and that's extremely technical. It takes like 10 hours to photograph a single truck tire. And the setup and everything is just really, really super specific. But when you're looking for a moment or you're in the moment, if you're looking for that perfection, you probably won't find it. And then you'll lose the moment trying to capture that moment. So yeah, I think that sometimes taking photos is important to remember that moment, but also you can lose the moment if you're too busy trying to take photos of it. So be in the moment. Often I will choose to be in the moment and specifically not take photos. People say, "Oh, can you take photos as your photographer?" I'm like, "No, I'm here. I'm being present."
Yeah, that's incredible. And the essence of a person. Do you get that when you're lining something up to take an image? And I'm sort of balancing that with culturally how some people don't want their pictures taken because they believe that it takes from the person, or indeed if someone has passed and that image shouldn't be brought back. And that really made me think about what does that mean then? Are we gathering a true essence of someone? Is that what makes an extraordinary portrait compared to just taking a selfie of someone?
Ooh, that's an interesting question. I think with photography and say like Indigenous, like whether Native Americans or Indigenous Australians or whatever, I think that maybe there was a misconception, misunderstanding. Like if you have never seen a photograph before, and all of a sudden you see a thin piece of paper with your portrait on it, it's like, how did I get in there?
Extraordinary, yeah.
Well, either that or like terrifying. It's like, how did you capture me? Why am I in there? Why am I looking like like a deer in the headlights?
Yeah.
I don't want this photo of me because you've captured a part of my soul.
Yeah.
Whereas when you look at it back then, it's a chemical process. You just capturing what light is available. We're seeing it anyway, but there's amazing like chemical process to actually capture that image. And so, yeah, I think maybe it was that, but I think there are some like Amish, I think they don't like having their portraits taken for a number of reasons. And I think there's like a lot of people personally who don't like their portraits taken because they don't like the way they look or are perceived or something like that. There was a lot of, no, I don't want to say narcissism, but maybe like just being self-conscious, I guess, of, what you look like. And I think there's a full psychology there as well. Like when you look at a portrait taken from a camera, if your family see it, they're like, oh yeah, that's Jill. But then if you see it, you're like, when you look at yourself in the mirror, it's a flipped image, right? And so, an image out of the camera is not a flipped image. And so because our halves of our faces are different, like you'll see a completely different person. And I think there's a psychology there behind it. So like I was photographing this accountant once, good-looking guy, this accountant once, he was a good-looking guy, and he did not like any of the portraits I was taking. And I secretly flipped one, and he looked at, and we went through the images again, and he said, oh, I like that one. And I explained to him why he liked that image is because it was mirror image and he's used to seeing it and his mind was blown. But that, I think, like with Indigenous, I think it's something else. I think with Indigenous Australian, like, you know, you often see warnings come up that there might be someone,
of course,
that is imagery of a part, someone who's passed away. And I was reading up a little bit about that last night. And it's because maybe that image can cause just stress.
Yes.
It can bring up an emotion. And I think a lot of cultures maybe try to avoid those strong emotions.
It's powerful. I know very sadly you lost your father recently, and you were over in Malaysia. Did you manage to capture that sort of in a way that you can remember for days to come and years to come?
It was an interesting experience because I was here when he passed away. It was unexpected. And in Malaysia, they do funerals a little bit differently. Like my dad was Chinese. He's Hakka, so he's people from Hakka region. And the Hakka Malaysians, the way they do funerals is very, very fast. And so we got notification that night that he passed away. And the next day he was in the funeral home on display in open caskets.
The next day.
And we didn't have a say. Like my sister's in Melbourne, my brother's in Germany, and then I'm here in Adelaide. And so the family sort of took care of it all. I felt like them doing that was protecting us from any strong, sad emotions and feelings. They do a lot of that to protect people. But for me, I needed to, if I had the choice, I would have been there to see him where he passed away. Like I wanted to preserve that moment, where it was a photo or a video or anything like that, even if he was there. It's the way that I deal with grief.
Yes, yeah.
I even got my family to take a portrait, not a portrait, but like a photo of him where they found him and all that sort of stuff. And I was like, just no one move anything. I want his computer to stay on, whatever music he's playing, his phone to be there, just put it on charge because I want to see the last thing that he was looking at. Oh. But they did everything, and it got to the point where if I hadn't put a stop on it, they would have cremated him without us seeing him.
Oh, dear.
So, I did photograph as much as I could, and it's been an ongoing project for me to photograph his things. That's definitely something we can talk about another time. But with the funeral, like I did photos of the speeches. I did a speech. My brother did a speech, sister, mum.
So that's quite cathartic in helping you. Because one of my great regrets is I was shown my feet and my legs in the hospital morgue, and I didn't capture that. I didn't get a photograph, and I would have loved that because, you know, as powerful as it is for the mind to try and remember, as time passes, so does our memory sort of change, and I really like you've said how important it is to have that moment captured and that it's there etched for us forever.
Yeah, like capturing those videos and images were not necessarily for me to directly look back on, but my kids.
Yes.
You know, photographing like my father in the casket and all that sort of. It was a freezer one, so he was there for a few days. Different to how we do funerals here. Yeah. But then also when he did go to get cremated, I requested to go and photograph his remains as they came out of the furnace. Yeah. And there's something about it. I needed to do that. A lot of people look at me and go, oh, that's a little bit crazy. But my family did understand. Yeah. I'm not necessarily going to show them or publish the photos. I might one day. But for me, it was interesting to see his remains, his skeletons, what was an ash, and photograph it. And so I've got these photos of him, and I'll look at them every now and then going, wow, what an amazing mind was within this skull. And I can see the inside of his skull, you know, and that as morbid as that is, I look at that and go, wow, And I'm learning more about my dad every day.
Yeah.
We weren't overly close, but I'm learning about him.
It's what's bringing it up to me is it's almost like that full journey of life, isn't it? That you've now got that picture of the full completion of life.
That's right. And like he was an avid reader, and he had a lot of books with bookmarks in them. And I've been photographing those bookmarks and where they were, where he left off. His life was full of to be continued moments.
To be continued.
And so that's me. I'm still, grieving. I still think about him, but I'll look at the photos, and then my kids will be able to see that and maybe appreciate, maybe not appreciate it.
And I kind of love that, Ben, of to be continued.
Yeah.
Isn't that a beautiful...
It's a photo series coming out soon. I'll show you. I know you like books. I must show you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that depth with us. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And when we think about, that lovely phrase of a picture says 1,000 words, what are the words that you'd most likely or most want to say through capturing something to the world?
Oh, I don't know. I think with me, because I'm not the best at writing, but I think my images, I like to keep interpretations open, like without setting an interpretation of what I've captured, because I like people to experience and go, "Ooh, what am I looking at?" Because that's what I've done. I'm like, "Ooh, what am I looking at here?" And for people to lose themselves in an image, artist statements. I'm not huge into artist statements, that's what AI is good for, artist statements. But I like to put images out there with sort of no context so people can make up their own mind about it. Yeah, and that's why beauty in the mundane. Like, I love shadows. Shadows are awesome. They're the best thing. I can get caught up in shadows. You walk around with me, I'm like, oh, look at that shadow. And most people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look at this photo. And they're like, oh, okay, I get it now. And like, I've fully low angles, high angles, and, all that sort of stuff. And then knowing the limitation of the camera, being able to bring my vision to life instantly, that instant gratification. And so, yeah, I don't know. I think there's a lot of expectation with photography. You don't, just because you have a camera, you don't mean you need to be the best photographer. Just capture the things that are meaningful to you. If you like photography, great. Like, learn more about it, but also try not to think too much about what other people think. If you like something, photograph it your way. If you want to improve your photography, then there's the internet. Speak to someone.
Or it's just capturing, just living in the moment.
Just living in the moment.
And look at more shadows.
Yeah, look at shadows.
Ben, thank you so much. Thank you for your beautiful soul and for sharing that with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Stay mad.
Yeah, I will do. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Ben.
Well, pressure's on. So what I'd be looking at, like, in this sort of situation, is like telling the story of, what I'm seeing. I guess, like, I can see all the, the lights in the background, the microphone, the mug, well, obviously Jill, but I'm seeing here, I love this shadow here on this side and the highlight here on the other side. I can't find where did I put there. And so there's a way that you can sort of avoid all those things in the background, I guess, by zooming in. And from here, I would probably say to Jill, I love the mug. Can you bring it closer to your body a little bit? Yeah, there we go. I love the microphone. Can you bring the mic in just a tad? Because that really tells the story of what's happening today. Cup the cup with your hand. Yeah, there you go. Because I love the artwork, because I know that's yours. I've got 3 of these mugs. And they get used a lot in our studio. And then can I get you to bring your left shoulder forwards towards me a little bit? Yeah, and bring your right back a little bit. Yeah, and then lean in for your left. Bring that chin forwards and down a little bit. There we go. And then the top of your head, maybe bring it over that way just a tad. Not too much, come back just a bit. There's all these micro movements. Stick your chin forwards like a turtle and then down just like a little bit. There we go. Bring your eyes up to me. There we go. Give me no expression. There we go. Nice. Photo. And then bring the shoulders back a little bit. Take a nice deep breath in. Bring your eyes towards me. Chin down. Imagine I said something funny. Do you want me to tell you a joke? Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Europe.
Europe who?
That's such a bad joke. Usually what happens is that brings
That's like
barriers.
a dad joke.
It's such a bad dad joke, isn't it?
It's a dad joke.
It removes barriers sometimes, and it can help people to forget that there's a camera in front of them. So yeah, anyway, that was just a few tricks of the trade, but yeah, loosens people up, realize that the camera is just a tool. It's a piece of plastic and glass and that sort of stuff. And so, yeah, I think it's just connecting with your subject and making them feel comfortable.
I hope this conversation has helped you in your commitment to being mad for life, to making a difference for a lifetime. If you'd like to know more, please join us on our website, mad4.life. Until next time, I'm Jill Hicks. Stay mad.